Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this iPad Pro 12.9 inch. It is not charging. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my iBridge and we're going to test the charge port. See if anything's going on there. And as soon as the test complete, we can see that we've got some red marks and those aren't good. So we are going to need to open this up and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. Looking at the charge port, I can't necessarily see anything wrong with it. Could be that some of those pins have split. That tends to be the case on these ones. So let's pop this iPad apart and see what we can find. Now that we've got the screen off, we can take a look here at the charge port. This side looks actually pretty good, but when we flip it over, we can see some clear damage to the pins. This is definitely going to be the root cause of this iPad not charging. Let's take a new charge port. We'll connect it up to the iPad motherboard, and we can run a test to see if this fixes the issue. All right, it's testing, and you can see that we still have a red mark. It's just one this time. That means there's an issue on the motherboard. It used to be this one was red, and it's just this one now. So I'm going to get out my multimeter. We're going to set it to continuity mode. I need to isolate the battery from the motherboard, so we'll take out that screw, gently pry on the board, and I'm going to wedge a piece of plastic under there, isolating the battery. Now I can take my multimeter, and we can test the pins and see if we can find the one that corresponds to the issue we're having. And there we go. We've got an issue with this particular pin. This one's good. This one's good. It's just this one. Now this motherboard is somewhat annoying to extract. There are a ton of little connectors and things attached to it that have to come off in order to get it out. There is an arm that jets out to the right up to the top of the camera. It's fairly weak and easy to break. So we'll get that screen off. And I'm going to take the next 10 minutes or so to extract the motherboard. So enjoy. Now that we have the motherboard out, we'll just quickly test it again, and it's still the same. So let's go ahead and put the motherboard in a board holder because we need to remove this shield. It's covering up the components that we need to get to. So I'll take my hot air workstation, got it set to 450 degrees Celsius with a high airflow. We want this to get nice and hot. I want that heat to really get this shield nice and hot so we can pop it up and off the board. And up it comes. We'll give it a little wiggle and it'll pop off. In here, I'm going to add a little bit of flux to help remove this chip. This keeps the pads from oxidizing under while it's nice and hot. When I heat it up, the flux will find its way under the IC, and I've got my fine tip tweezers that'll help me get in there and not knock around too many components. Hopefully none at all, as we extract this IC. This is the USB charging IC. It's the typical component to go out when you have a charge port issue like that. I'm looking for good movement before I decide to remove it. We don't want to pull this off the board premature because it can tear pads and cause issues that are hard to correct for. You can see the flux kind of dancing on the outside of the chip. That means that we've got a good amount of flux under there. I'm now seeing the kind of movement I want to see, so we'll pull it up. All right, so you can see we have the chip off there. Just wanted to show you what it would look like while we test it. So we're going to plug our new charge port into the motherboard, get out our tester again so you can see what it looks like without that chip to see if that short is gone. We'll plug it in, and we're going to be looking for that left side, the D+, see if it's red still. You can see it's green. We do have two reds on the other side. Obviously, we're missing the chip, so those are going to be open line. But they're not shorted out. You may be tempted to think that you're basically done and you can put a new chip back. And I'll show you what happens if that's what you do. In order to prep the area for a new chip, I'm going to add some flux. And I've got my soldering iron. We're going to come in with a little bit of low melt solder on the tip here. And this is going to mix with the factory solder and get a lot of that on the actual soldering iron itself. I'm going to do this without trying to scrape the motherboard. There's a thin black layer that protects the traces from being exposed, and it's easy to remove if you're too aggressive. We'll take some wick with the soldering iron, and we'll let that warm up, and that'll suck up all of the solder, and hopefully not wipe away too much of that black conformal coating. Oh, I've exposed a little bit there. Not a big deal, but I'm going to be a little bit more careful to not do that again. Go around and get the remaining solder. That wick was a bit too saturated, so I've cut a new piece. So we're gonna go ahead and really suck up all of the remaining solder. That is good. Now I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol on a Q-tip, and we will clean up all of the flux. And even though if I solder this new chip on, I don't think I'll have an issue with that little bridge that we have up there, but I'm going to cover it with a teeny dot of UV mask and this little tail as well that sticks out just to be safe. Right, that looks good. Hit it with a UV light. We'll add some flux, and I'm going to spread this around nice and evenly, making sure we get full coverage on all the paths. Again, they oxidize when things get up to soldering temperature, and the flux keeps them clean and free of oxidation. Also helps the solder be more conformal and stay spherical. We'll get out a brand new chip that's pre-balled, line up the dot in the right corner, center the chip as best we can, and we'll come in with our hot air rubric station, get this nice and hot, and we're basically reversing the extraction. You notice down here in the bottom that I nudged, I guess, this teeny little, probably a resistor, and let me just heat him up and nudge him back. A little tap there, he's nice and straight again. And we're looking for some movement on the IC. And you can see that when we push it in both directions, it snaps back. So this is good to go. And now you can see that we've got that IC on there. And one might assume that they'd be ready to go at this point. So let me show you what would happen if this is all that you've done. We'll get our tester out and we'll see if we see any changes. And look at that, we have all green. So you might be thinking you're good to go. Is that the case though? It does need an EEPROM and the shield does need to go back on. I'm also going to be replacing the battery in this one. So let me go ahead and do that. I know this one's going to work regardless, but I just wanted to show you why it's important to do all of the work and not just some of it. All right, let's take out the battery. I'm just going to show you some of my tips and tricks. I use this tool to help pull out the adhesive. We get it spinning and it'll wrap up the adhesive in it. And on each portion of these cells, the adhesive here is kind of like a U shape. And you can see I can pull it a little and then roll it up, pull it, see how far it will pull, and then it'll start to kind of curve around. We'll pull it as far as it'll let us go before it snaps. They do like to snap. You can add a little bit of isopropyl alcohol under there to help loosen the adhesive if you'd like. And then you can come to the other side and do the same thing. We'll get the adhesive to wrap up in our tool here. Pull and reel it in. It's like we're reeling in a fish. Just pull it out, zip it in. Pull it out, zip it in. We'll repeat this 6 more times and our battery will be out. There's a little bit of adhesive that holds down the BMS portion of the battery. Once you put on that though, the battery should come out all in one piece. We'll get out our new battery, peel off the protector. There's a little peg in the aluminum frame that you can line up with this hole here. As soon as that's lined up, you know that everything else is pretty much ready to go. Let the batteries fall down and relax in place, and we can peel off the blue sticker that kind of holds everything together. And just like that, our new battery's installed. And we'll put everything back together enough to test it so you can see what happens if you don't replace the EEPROM. And before I turn it on, let's run another test. You can see what it would look like. Probably tell you everything's okay. It should work. We'll go ahead and plug it in and prompt it to boot, which it should also prompt it to boot. Now we got an Apple logo and it's come on, but is it charging? You can see here, it's not charging. So let's actually do the final thing and replace the EEPROM. It's sitting right next to the USB IC, so we'll heat it on up and replace it. So the best way to do this is just to replace both at the same time. We'll heat it up and it'll pop it off. It comes off a little easier than the USB IC does. We'll get out a brand new one. Here's the old one, and here's the new one. I'm going to add a little bit of flux. This is one pad. It doesn't look like it has enough solder on it. This one isn't as precise as the other ones that need to be reballed. We'll take a little bit of solder and we'll create a nice little pillow of solder there. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit to each one, make sure they're all about the same size. And I'm happy with that, so we'll go ahead and flip over the chip, making sure we have the dot in the same orientation as before. So we'll spin it around, get it nice and lined up properly. We'll come in with the hot air, we'll heat it up. It needs to move a little bit to the right. Yeah, starting to see some movement, so I know it's gripping and it's shifting a little bit to the right. Give it some taps and we are done. So I've got it fully reassembled now and we got the Apple logo once again, and this time we hope to see a charging symbol. And it's come on. Let's look in that top right corner, and sure enough, we've got our lightning symbol. We are charging. I like to flip the charger port around just to make sure it charges on both sides, and we are solid. Look at that. This one's all fixed, ready to be sealed up, and that's what it takes to fix a charge port issue on one of these iPads.